Done. Okay, I guess it's working. Okay.
Okay.
Is the screen clear or you need this bigger?
Very clear to me.
Very clear. Okay, great. Great. How about you, Mars? Clear for you too?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay, good. So, I wanted to analyze the opening, the parasha, and look at it and see how I want to just. I thought it would be a good idea for you to see how I look at these verses and how I understand the progression. Vayesheb Yaakov be'eretz migurei abiv, be'eretz Canaan, el toldot Yaakov Yisrael ben 17 shana. היה רואה את אחיו בצאן, והוא נער את בני בלהה ואת בני זלפה, שאביו והביא יוסף את ליבתם רעה אל אביהם. Good?
Good.
Now, usually, when people look at that, the first reaction is from many people, the opposite of how I look at this. He brought bad reports of them to their father, so they say he's a snitch and he's immature and
Right.
young. And I think that that's a very, very bad. I shouldn't say bad. I think that's a wrong interpretation. Tell him to mute Mars.
It's not me.
Whoever is on, could you mute your? There you go. Okay. So, do you guys see everybody else who's on like I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mars, is that how you understand it also?
That's the way it's always been
Right.
done.
And I always ask the following question. If we have to discuss this word dibah tamra'ah, right? And we will discuss it, but before we discuss it, I just want to tell you that whenever I heard this thing, he brought their dibah, their bad dibah, without going into a lot of detail about what the word dibah means, we'll go with bad reports for right now, okay? Like it's you all see the English anyway, correct?
Yeah.
So I say, I don't call that snitching. I think if bad things are going on and you see bad things going on, you go to your father and you say, listen, I don't like what's going, this isn't good.
Right.
I never understood what it means. I understand snitching means if there's something super petty, right? Very, very petty. And then you say you snitched, then I understand it. But if it's not petty, right? Then I think you should bring it to the attention whoever that should be. Petty would be, tell me something petty. I don't know, Sammy, Morris, anybody. What's something like that you would call petty?
I'll use the example from my kids.
He took my shoes without asking me if he could borrow it.
Yeah.
Petty, silly thing. Guess what he did? He took my shoes, right? Okay, Morris, which is yours?
Yeah, she keeps staring at me.
Right.
Less.
Right, really petty, right?
Hmm.
So he's trying to snitch. But what if you see one of your siblings, you're walking down the block with him and he goes into a store and he steals off of the rack two shirts.
That's criminal.
And a radio, and he steals it. And now
You're allowed to do that now. It's not a.
Right. AB's story. Yeah. Right. Sammy, you know what he's talking about? My son-in-law AB was in a store.
Oh, I
opening-
wasn't referencing anything. I don't know.
Oh,
What
no,
you
no,
can.
no. AB's in his store shopping, I think, business shopping. I think the store was in Brooklyn somewhere. I'm not sure of the name. And all of a sudden he sees a guy. He takes off all of his clothes. He takes off all of his clothes. And nothing, he has nothing on. He gets dressed in the store with things, underwear, pants, shirts, things, shoes, everything brand new. The people are watching him in the store and the guards. He then goes and gets in the luggage department, gets a suitcase, fills it up, and walks out of the store. Now, AB saw this with his own eyes. He saw this. Like, if it's not a midrash, if it's a midrash, it's a good midrash. But he saw it. He went to the luggage department, filled up the thing, and walked out the store. And the people in the store, the salespeople, there's guards in the store, just watching it with absolutely no reaction whatsoever. I call that a world gone awry, world gone completely
That's
crazy.
what Mars was saying. You don't need that example to appreciate how far awry the world has gone.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So now, if he's with one of his siblings, what if he sees that? Right?
It's criminal. If it's criminal, that's if you
Okay,
suggest
but it
that-
doesn't say, it says dibatam ra'a. It says they're bad, right? They're bad dibat. Well, what if the bad dibat is, now that I gave you that first example, I'll give you another example. The bad dibat is, he hears them saying, tomorrow, when we go to the store together, yeah, you steal the radio, right? Put it in your pocket, and I'll steal X. And he says, what do you mean? You can't do that. They're making this is debata with these bad reports, right? No. So I say, if that's what the debate is, you should bring that. That's not tattletaling. That's, hey, bad things are going on over here. So far, so good. Morris?
Good.
Joey? Michael, you good? You with me? Yeah? I hope they are. Okay.
they're just muted.
Good, we're good. I'm good.
Okay, very good. So it says after that, right? We know he's not Benibel has Zilpah, and he brings their debata on Elabihim, and we'll discuss the word debata in a minute. V'Yisrael habit Yosef Mikol Benav. By the way, the English is on the left. If I'm reading and you need a translation, look on the left, because I want to save time. V'Yisrael habit Yosef Mikol Benav ki ben zikunim hulo v'asa lo ketonet pasim. Vayiru ehav ki oto ahab abihim yikol ehav v'yisnu oto v'lo chelu dabiro l'shalom. So right away they hate him. The reason that is that Salomoni whispering in your ear? Let me just say quickly. Hi, Salomoni.
Hi.
Okay. So it's good to see you. So, okay, baby. So now, right away, you get the picture. He's hanging around with Bilhan Zilpah, not the brothers of Rachel and Leah, of Leah, I mean. He's hanging around with them, and he's not hanging around with them, I should say. And he brings these reports, which I say we'll talk more about it, but I told you how I look at it. No one looks at it that way. Everybody says it's snitching and he was immature.
Yeah, well, they attach that to the fact that the brothers don't like him. And they say, oh, he must have been, and since it calls him a na'ar over here, he must have been doing something that was, I don't know why, it's just assumed that it was an unnecessary negative, like we're calling it tattletaling,
Yeah.
as opposed to something more substantial.
Yes, but you missed something. It says Yisrael have it Yosef mikol banav.
Right.
That has absolutely nothing to do with Yosef himself.
Right.
That's his father's choice, correct?
Yeah.
And he makes him the Ketornet Pasim. We know that the Ketornet Pasim, it stands for the idea of the a leadership role, right?
Mhm.
Now, it states very clearly why they hate him. Mikol Ehav, right? Because their father loved him more than all the brothers. They used to do Otor. They hated him. They can't speak. They can't speak with him. Not a friendly word. Correct.
Right.
That has nothing to do with Dibat Tamara right now. And we have absolutely no reason to believe it's because he's conned his father, right?
Mhm.
We assume his father is above all of this. We should assume it. And add to that they hate him because they see that he's favored. I'm looking at you, Morris, if you know where I'm looking. He's favored because the father shows favoritism to him. But
I agree.
that's the reason. It states it clearly that the reason that there's a problem here is because they see that
Right.
is the reason.
I agree, and
That
I
is
think
the
that it's
objective narrative statement. The
right.
they can't speak. They don't like this. As to whether you think that Yaakov is wrong, as to whether you think that he shouldn't have done it, whatever it is, what does this have to do with Yosef? Right now.
Very little. It's more tangential to him.
How about Sammy? You agree with that?
I'm not understanding what it's, is it in response to the fact that Yaakov loves Yosef better, so he's the object that they're upset about?
That's it. That's what they're now. But what did Yosef do wrong about in here? I'm saying.
Oh, he didn't do anything wrong, but still, you still have a resentment towards the object of.
No. I didn't ask you that. I said, did Yosef do anything wrong?
Aside from whatever we're trying to define as dibatam bra'a.
Right, which I told you, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily. I say if he heard bad things, if they were really bad, he should report it.
Right. So I don't think Yosef did anything bad directly to warrant them not being willing to talk to him, other than just being him and being the favored son.
That's it. All he is himself.
Massive, yeah.
So they hate him. What do you say about people who hate people because of that? What do you say about people who they hate him?
Anti-Semites.
What do you say about someone who's a hater because of the father's kasher b'shvil katan, about the hater? I said that to you, Mars. What do you say about the fact that he's a hater? He's hated, nothing to do with him, nothing to do with anything that he did wrong. What do you say? What kind of sort of a general,
Jealousy.
I'm asking the table. Jealousy. Okay, good. I like that answer. Jealousy. I was going to ask, do you have any opinion of the siblings as right now. Before we read one more word, we read the first 4 verses.
They don't seem like the best characters, or of the best character.
Okay. If anybody disagrees with Morris, say so. Otherwise, I'll read further. Because I say they don't seem like the best character when I hear this. And I wanted to know if anybody. Okay, we're good to go. No one has anything to say.
Agreed.
Ve'yahalom Yosef, halom, and Yosef, ve'yahalom ve'yagid lehav. By the way, anybody who came in after I said it, I'll repeat it. There's English on the left. If you don't know the Hebrew words, just follow. I'm in verse 5. Then they can have a drop of apple juice. Ve'yahalom Yosef, halom ve'yagid lehav, ve'yosifu od seno oto. He has a dream and he tells it to them. And they hate him more, right? They already hated him, right? He had a dream, he says it to them, right? They hated him even more, which means that whatever he said to them increased the hate which existed, which had nothing to do with him at all.
Right.
Right? You with me?
Yeah.
Then it says, Vayomer Elohim. It tells you, first it tells you that he had a dream. Then it tells you they hated him even more, which means they had already hated him. And then it tells you the dream. Vayomer Elohim. It's an interesting way to put it forth. It does not say he had a dream, this was the dream, and they hated him even more. You with me, Sammy?
Yep.
Okay, so now it says they hated him even more. They already hated him. Now, whatever it was, they hated him even more. Now it says, Shemuna halom azeh shalamti. V'nei anachnu me'alemim alumim. Is this thing, yeah. You know what's happening? I know what's happening. It's skipping it's skipping to the next page automatically. All right. Let me see if I could fix that. Just 1 minute. No, I can't. So where am I? Yeah. והנה אנחנו מעלומים בתוך השדה, והנה כמה אלומתי, גם לסבא, והנה תסובנה אלומותיכם ותשתחוונה לאלומתי. ויאמרו לו אחד, ההלוך תמלוך עלינו, אם השול תמשול בנו, ויוסיפו עוד שנוא אותו על חלומותיו ועל דבריו. Do you mean to reign over us? You mean to rule over us? And they hated him even more for his talk about his dreams, because of his dreams and his words.
So you just proved that they hated him before, having nothing to do with dreams.
Exactly. Right?
I agree with that point, but on top of that, what would be the point? Yosef, we have to assume, is not blind to the fact that they don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
Why tell him the dream?
So
it's only to antagonize them.
I think the question is a good question. Why tell them the dream? Right? It's a good question. Let's sit with it for a minute, okay? But I want to ask the question, Morris.
Yeah.
We already were told that he was hated. And then it says he had a dream and they hated him even more. And then it tells you the dream and it says they hated him even more. In the didn't it already tell us in the previous statement that
Yeah.
So why is it repeating the words at the end of it? Right?
Yeah, that first pasuk.
It already said Vayosifu Otzenoto.
Yeah. It's like it gave you a one pasuk preemptive summary of the whole situation, and then it gives you the detail.
Why?
I don't know.
Sammy, why? Joey Mizrahi, why?
Oh my God, that's really
I'm
weird.
gonna let, you said Morris and Sammy first, they should go first.
Nah.
The camera's on.
What's the story? Why give you the little preliminary story statement and then follow it and repeat it again?
Not only the repeat again, there's another dream coming.
Okay, even before we get there.
I don't know. Usually that's it. I feel like it happens a lot in Bereshit, but it seems to be that it's emphasis. I don't know.
Emphasis? Okay, maybe. Anybody else? Mars? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. You're clueless. Do you agree my question? Well, at least this much. Do you agree my question is a good question?
Absolutely.
It doesn't need that first pasuk, particularly. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you, Morris.
it doesn't particularly need that first pasuk. It could have just written out the story.
Right.
So was there, but you don't know what the objective behind it was.
No, it's like a preemptive narration. There's no, I don't know what the reason for that would be.
I'd like to give you a reason and hear comments from the class. I'm gonna go back. Can you turn off that sound or make it low? You got to use not that. All right. I say when you have a statement like that, it wants you to know that they hated him. That before that statement, right?
Yeah.
When you say that without telling you the dream, when it goes out of its way not to say the dream, in that situation, it makes the dream. Listen to me carefully, everybody. Linda, impossible.
We don't hear
Yeah,
it.
impossible.
Dad, I'm just telling you, we don't hear anything.
I know,
Or
but
at least I don't.
I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
When you say that first, you know what it means to me? Now, I want feedback. This is not me making statements. Everybody listening, I want feedback. Listen to me. When you go, the brothers thought they were jealous. They hated him. Couldn't talk friendly. He has a dream. He tells it to them. They hate him even more. That makes the words of the dream unimportant right now.
Yeah, I hear that.
Meaning you're saying they could have waited till after he tells them the dream for the words Vayesifu od Tanoto to be inserted then.
Exactly. It makes it like, who cares what the dream was? He had a dream, they hated him even more. Well, what was the dream? Unimportant.
Just the fact that he's speaking, the fact that they can't speak to him, and the fact that they can't tolerate his voice. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly. It sounds like the content was totally, it's to you, the listener, when you hear it that way, it's like saying, you know, they hated him because he had dreams.
Right. Or that he was opening his mouth, that he was just
whatever. Opening his mouth, don't want to hear what you have to say.
We've all
Who cares? You have dreams. We don't care about your dreams. Drop dead, go to hell.
We've all been in a classroom environment where there's the one kid that whatever he opens his mouth, everybody can't stand him. It doesn't matter what he's saying.
Right. So over here, yeah, but over there, the class may be because the kid is a real tattletale.
No, he's a dib. He just every time he says he's looking
okay,
for
but Yosef is not being put forth as being a dib at all. On the contrary,
looking for attention.
Depending on Dibat Hamra'ah, I told you in the beginning, if Dibat Hamra'ah is hearing really bad things, right? then he better talk up. And then his father showing favoritism, maybe the father recognizes him to be different than the brothers, because the brothers, as Morris said, are not very nice guys.
Understood.
Good? They're not very nice guys. And now they're because they're jealous and they don't treat him properly. And then the narrator tells you he had a dream.
It doesn't matter what it was.
Content was seems
hate him
to
anyway.
be unimportant. What
And
is
they hate him
more
anyway.
important, when he tells it to them, they hate him even more.
Right.
What about the content? Tell me the content first. Unimportant. So I say it's a literary technique that's very subtle, that goes like this. They hated him just because they hated him. Now I'll tell you what he said. I'm sorry, etc., etc. And it goes right, and you bow down. Now, Joey says, is he telling that to them for? He knows that these guys are not nice guys. Right?
That's true.
Right.
Joey's assuming that he should know better. That he
That's
should
what
be
he's saying.
aware.
He's saying he should know better. What the heck are you doing? That's Joey's question. We're staying with that question for now. Just like we're staying with the question on Deepak. 9. Ve'halom od halom aher. Ve'sefer oto lehav. Ve'yomer hine halamti halom od. V'nei asher shve'ah ve'hazak krim mushtahavim li. Ve'sefer l'abiv. And he tells his father, ve'lehav. He tells his father also. ויגד בו אביו, והראו לו, מהעלום הזה שחמת, בוא אני ועמך, ואחיך לשתבוא לך ארצה. וקנו בו אחד, ואביו שמר את זה. Stop. He doesn't only tell this dream, he tells this dream, right? He tells it to his father and his brothers. I'd like to make a statement. Unless he's a complete dingleberry, right? He evidently thinks that these dreams are important and shouldn't be taken lightly. And he tells his father about it because he doesn't know what to make of it. You see, if he just told it to the brothers, okay. The second one, he tells to his father and his brothers. And he says, there's something going on here. He's implying that there's something important happening here. And then, I'm giving you my view, his brothers hated him. Well, they always hated him and were jealous of him, correct? Doesn't say they hated him. It says they were jealous of him. Did you hear? What happened to the word hate? Morris, Sammy, Joey, Michael.
The brothers actually interpreted the dream for Yosef on the first dream.
Wait.
Do you mean to reign over me?
Hold on. Wait, what Ronnie just said, what you just said is not what the Pesukim say. The Pesukim say they hated him. They weren't jealous of him.
They can ubo. Verse 11.
Okay, but up until then, it says that they hated him, and now in 11 is the first time they're using the word jealous.
Correct. What happened to hate?
Got it.
That's correct. Right? Sino oto. Right? Over here. After the second one, they canubo. What happened to hating him? I'm trying to show you that this text is being written in a very, very specific manner. I'm trying to point out to you by saying dibah and saying maybe it's a really bad thing, I don't call that tattletale. I'm trying to show you that they hated him with nothing to do with him as an individual. That his father recognizes him to be the leader of the family and have exceptional qualities. I'm trying to tell you that his father knew what his potential was. Not only that, that when he tells over the second dream, it says Va'aviv Shabbat Shamar Tadavar. When he answers it, he says, "Is that what's going to be the case?" But what does it mean when Va'aviv Shamar Tadavar? It means his father said, "Oh, I got to keep this in mind. This is important. This is important, right?"
Okay.
I'm not taking this lightly. For whatever the reasons are that he said outwardly, he doesn't say it's not going to happen. He says, "Is that what's going to be the case? Right? Is that what we're going to do?" But it's clear that the brothers, they can do, but he himself, so far, so good.
Yeah, I don't know if you
Morris,
saw
are
in
you
the,
with us, Morris? You look a little distracted.
I don't know if you saw in the chat, but Ronnie Mizrahi wrote something very.
No, I'm good.
Oh, I'm not seeing all the people that are here. I only see 4 things over here. I should.
Ronnie Mizrahi is welcome to just shout it out, but it's.
Oh, there's Jonathan. Yeah, I see Jonathan and Joey, and I still don't see Ronnie Mizrahi. Yeah,
I'm here.
it says Joey Mizrahi.
There he
No,
is.
that's you, Joey.
Yep, I'm here to.
Let me see. It's a small. I see. It's a small. I see. There you are, Ronnie. Okay, I got it. It's a small screen.
I put in the chat that Lehosi Dibat Ha'aretz Ra'ah was about the spies, which is the only time those 2 words come up in a verse.
Right. I'm going to turn to those in a minute. But it's sort of like jumping the gun for a minute, right? I want everybody to see the picture very clearly, correct?
Go ahead.
Yes.
That's why I haven't brought that up yet. Okay, we will momentarily. In fact, we are at that junction because in the next story, they're going to go Literot, and his father is going to say, "Go check it out." And right, you all know the story well. The time is passing very quickly over here. I'm skipping. Let me know. And a man finds him, and the man asks him, "What are you looking for?" Of course, this is the weird interim story over here from out of nowhere. I'm looking for my brothers. I hear that in their dotaina. He goes after them. They see him coming. Now, when they see him coming, it's important that you realize when they conspire to kill him, they're going to murder him. This is their brother. I say, these are not nice guys. Whatever the heck is going on, vayitnakilu oto lahamito. They now conspire together to kill him. They're going to murder their brother over what? The father's showing favoritism, so you take a gun out, you blow his head off? 1. 2, he tells you a dream. You don't like what he says in the dream. You don't like what he has to say. You hated him before. Now he does. Now you tell him now you hear what his thoughts are. I'm going to blow your brains out. Something very bad's going on over here with these guys. Very, very, very bad. Here comes that dreamer. Let's kill him. We'll throw him in one of the pits, and we'll say a wild animal ate him. And then we'll see what happens with dreams. I don't like these guys. And the Ruben hears, he says them, Lord, I care on Nafish. He tells them, don't pour blood. He'll throw him into the pit, and then send a hand to him, and don't put a hand to him, right? And he said that leman hatziloto in order to save him, to return it to his father. He kasher by Yosef lahad. She do it Yosef kantor it your Torah tafsir shalat. Vayikahuhu vayeshlehu to abora v'aborek in bomai. So he's going to die there. Yes, really cholah of lehem. Now, of course, that one is the most telling. He's screaming, he's dying, and they're having a little ara and having a drink and laughing, eating some pita bread and tahina and hummus, right?
The brothers say this explicitly when they express their regret.
Coming to it, Ronnie. Wait 1 minute. And et cetera, et cetera. Remember those words. What gain is there? Why do we have to have the blood on his hands? He's our brother, flesh and blood. Have they listened? And they lift him up. They take him out of the board and they sell him to the Yishmaelim for 20 kesef. They be at Yosef Mitzrayim. So, and Reuben comes back and he tears his clothes. What's going to be with me now? And they take the Ketor and they put the blood on it from a Zim. And they those famous words, Hakirna, reminds you of now those deceptions. You know what I'm talking about with him in the past, with his own shortcomings. Stop. Okay, that's the story. Now I'd like to turn from there to, and I'll do this myself over here. I'd like to turn to Tehillim, and I'd like you. We can before that show you the reference from Ronnie. Ronnie, the book in it's in Bimidbar. What chapter?
I'll find it again. Hold on.
Okay. It's in not Korah. It's in Shelah, right?
1437.
Yeah, see, I went straight to 13. You should give me a medal for that. Okay, 14. In the spy story, right? Look at the words just so you see how they used. It says like this: and they complained. See, there it is. You see the word, Sammy?
Yeah, dibat haaretz ra'ah.
Right, dibat haaretz. Dibat. I'm sorry. Right? Right? So they bring the back. That's where you see it come up. Very negative. Very bad thing they did. Very bad. Right? Extremely bad. But now I'd like to turn to Tehillim. And I'll put it up on the screen. And I'd like to go to Tehillim. And first, I'd like to go real quick to Mizmor 30. So, because you're going to say it on every day, on every night, on Hanukkah anyway.
My bet's up.
Mizmor Shir Hanukkah Dabai David. I don't even like the litany because you lifted me up, but of course, the litany is when you draw the rope from the board. Lo semachta and you didn't let my enemies be rejoicing. Well, there it says it explicitly. Hey, Tani, miyardi bor. You brought me on Cheryl. You preserved me from going down into the pit. And of course, you know that we write that Yirmiyah is the author. And you know, of course, the story about Yirmiyah being in the pit. And he uses all the terms that were used by Yosef, many similar terms about the two of them. And he's put in the pit to die. And he's saved on the third day by Eved Melech HaKushi, who tells the king he's going to die today. And he goes with, I think, 30 soldiers. And he pulls him out and saves his life. Zamerula my hasidav, vodula zek kocho, tirega bapuhim besor bayanil bechi labokedna. Right? He's angry in a moment, then he's pleased, and you lie down leaving at nightfall, but at the dawn there's shouts of joy. And I said when I was untroubled, Bale moto olam, I thought I'm good forever. And I besor medita lahadidi oz. Right? Right? They translate it as when you were pleased. I find that a little difficult, right? But I think it means your will. It was your will. It was what you desired. You caused me to stand on my mighty mountain. You know what that's referring to, guys? Mars, you know what it's referring to? When he comes out of the pit and he's standing on the ground,
Right.
he was dying. When he comes out of the pit, Yirmiyah say, you put me on my mountain of strength. He's on firm ground. Histata panecha, when you hid your face, I was terrified. I called you and I made supplication to you. Mabesa, and you said, and I said, Mabesa bidami bididatil shahat. Sammy, sound familiar?
We just said it, yeah.
Who said it?
Brothers.
Reuven said it about killing Yosef.
Ronnie Mizrahi, who said it?
Yehuda.
Yehuda said it.
Yehuda.
Mabesa. Go ahead, quote the Besuk, Ron. Mabesa. What do we got to gain? So, of course, you, the readers in the 30th Mizmor, they're going to read it all through Hanukkah. What is there to be gained in my blood? He's telling God, in my death, in other words. When I go down into the pit. Can the afar praise you? Will it declare your faithfulnul? Listen, help me. Now listen carefully. Hafachta mispedi lemacholli. You turned my lament, my misped, right? When you make my
Eulogy.
Lemaholi, for dancing, for joy, in other words. Petahta saki, you undid my sack, and you girded me with joy. Now, of course, what does that remind you of when he says you opened up my sack and everything was good? Again, Sammy, I'm going to bother you. What does that remind you of? Pitachta Saki.
I mean, we want to fast forward to the end of the Yosef story where they
Exactly. When they open up the sacks and they all going into mourning, right? He says, you opened up my sack, God. In other words, the 30th Mizmor is full of references to Yirmiyah's personal experience and the experience of Yosef, and is interweaving them. Correct?
Sounds like it.
The money is because he says he's not speaking for Yosef, he's speaking for himself, the psalmist. It's Yirmiyah speaking for himself because he was in a board. And he's saying, when you opened up my sack, yeah? When you open my sack, good. Now, Ronnie.
You have to wonder. Wait, I was going to
Ronnie,
say, you have to wonder if Vate'azereni, right, and Ezor has to
Right.
do with the Ketonet Pasim.
Mhm.
It's like a mantle.
It's like a mantle. That's correct. You girded me, right? You put it around me. But now
Also,
listen carefully.
wait. The closing words, Adonai Elohai Leolam Odeka, might also be a play on Yehuda, who's named as such, right? Hapa'am Odeh et Adonai.
Excellent. Excellent. That's why he's named Hapam Odet Adonai. Adonai Elam Elohim Odeka. Excellent, Ronnie, right? That's why his name is Yehuda. She says Hapam Odet Adonai. This time will I give praise to God, right? Everybody hold on to that thought. But now listen carefully. Ronnie, do you remember before, while we were talking, you said, it reminds me when we were reading before, I said they were having some bread and hummus and tea there and laughing and having a good time, and he's in the pit dying, calling out, begging them to save his life, right?
Yep.
And you remembered what the brothers, when they said it, you want to quote it to them so I don't have to open up the Basuk. You guys, if you have a Tanakh, you could open it yourself up to that place where the brothers, when the sacks are opened, what do they say? That this is all happening to them because of what?
I don't remember the words. Let somebody else quote. Oh, B'taneno elenu ve'lo shama'nu.
Exactly. You know why this is happening to us? Go ahead, Ronnie. Translate it to them. We
Because
saw
he was-
Sarat Nafsho. We saw the suffering of his life. We saw him suffering, right? We saw him, Ra'inu Sarat Nafsho, Behithaneno Elenu, when he was begging us, right? Pleading with us. Go ahead. And what, Ronnie?
Ve'lo shama'nu.
And we didn't listen. You know why this is happening? Because we were sitting there having a meal and he was screaming out. We didn't even, we were having a good time. We were smiling. We were having a little relaxing. This is happening to us because of how evil that was. Everybody with me? Hello? Anybody?
Yeah.
I need somebody to say yes. It's hard for me to talk to a screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now look at the 31st Mizmor. I'm going to say Mizmor, I'm going to read it fast. Look at the English if you don't understand. This is the next Mizmor. You know why? Ronnie Mizrahi, translate. You are?
You are my rock and my fortress. And in honor of, or for your name, have compassion on me and guide me.
Good. You freed me from the net they laid for me, right?
Well, now
Yeah,
free me,
Tamausi.
not you. It's a request, not you did.
Correct. No, yeah, we'll see about that.
Okay.
He's talking past tense. Yeah. Be that kisali umanshim tosini, take it out from this pit, right? Padita oti Adonai il emet, right? You redeemed me, right? You redeemed me, O Lord, faithful God, right? I'm sorry. Saneti hashomrim hevleshav. I detest those who rely on empty folly, but Fanil Adonai batati, but I trust in you. Agila v'smaha b'chastecha. I exult and rejoice in your faithfulness, right? Asher, now look at the next words. You know why? Asher ra'ita et onyi yadata b'sarot nafshi. Morris Ronnie. What does that remind you of? What did the brothers say?
What did they say?
Al asher ra'inu et sarat nafsho b'hithanenu elenu v'lo shama. No.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
So what is this Mizmor following up on 30 say? Asher ra'ita et oni. You did see my oni. Yadata b'sarot nafshi. You knew my trouble. You knew the suffering that I was going through. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Do you, Morris? What did I just show
Yeah.
you? No one ever
He's saying
commented on this, ever.
the way that they saw and they disregarded, saying God sees and he knows.
So you see that in the Mizmor, immediately coming off of the board Mizmor, he is now talking about how God did see Sarat Nafsho, right? Right?
Yeah.
He did Ra'ita et Oni, Yadata Besurat Nafshi. And you know what? And you know what you did? Sammy, He'emelata B'merhav Ragla. Translate, Sammy.
And
He'emelata Amad. Amod. What does Amod mean?
to stand me up.
Right. He'emata, you caused me to stand. B'merhav. You know what does B'merhav mean? Anybody?
It's like in Halil, right? Min
That's-
amisad karatiya, anani b'mirhav, yeah.
Exactly. B'merhav means in the wide spaces, right? I was in the tight spaces where Ronnie quoted from Halil, and then you put me on the wide spaces. Of course, that's like saying He'emata leharani oz before, correct? You put me on my mountain of strength, correct? Now He'emata b'merhav lagai, you put my feet on the wide places. You saw Sarot Nafshi, you Ra'ita et Oni, Yadata B'Sarot Nafshi, and He'emata b'merhav lagai. You took me out of the pit, you put me on the ground, correct? The same exact words as He'emata b'merhav, right? He'emata l'harani oz is the previous one. Yes, Morris?
Yeah.
Yes, Joey. Yes, everybody. Is everybody following me? This is very important. Now we're going somewhere. I need
The
everybody.
word oz and ma'oz is very important. It's a motif that comes up throughout these few mizmorim. So like in 28, he says Adonai Uzi, Adonai Oz Lamo, Uma Oz Yeshuot. In 29, he says Adonai Oz Lamo Yitin.
That's correct.
30, Emata lehariri Oz, and then in our mizmor, Lesur Ma'oz and
Correct.
Ata Ma'ozi.
Correct. And if we at one time we have time, we'll go through that and explain what's going on. But
You would
that
almost think
said,
they
I
would,
want you to see this important statement now. I want you to see because it's critical. I'm going to read it fast so we can get there. Okay? Very fast. You can look at the English while I'm reading. Verse 11. I was herpa l'shchenai. Those are important words here. I was, because of all my foes, I'm particular butt of my neighbors, a horror to my friends. Those who see me on the street avoid me. I walk down the block. They cross the street, right? Nishkati commit milev. I was forgotten like a person who's dead, right? They put me out of mind like a dead person. Haiti kachli obed. I was like a kili that's lost.
Which has to do with what you write about Mizmor 2,
That's
right?
correct.
The
That's correct.
Kili Yosef.
That's correct. But now watch carefully, everybody. You know why all this happened to me?
Koshemati di bat rabim.
Oh, I heard the Bat Rabim. You know why all this? The people, they hate me. They don't want to talk to me. I'm herpa, fahad, rai bahut. I walk by, they shake their heads. Hey, there goes the idiot. There goes the stupid moron. They look at him and they gnash their teeth. They tell him, you're going to drop dead one day. You're going to die. You low life. He comes down the block. They cross the street, right? And he says, remember, Haneni, why? He's destroyed from it. Kashal Babuni, Mikol Surahiti Herpa, Shenai Lishkenai, Neod, Ufahad Yudai, Rai Bahusadu Med, Nishkati Medlev, Haiti Vikloved. You know why? Shamati, I heard the Bat Rabim, Magor Misaviv, terror from every side. You know why? Because I hear they got together, they counseled together against me to take my life, plotting to take my life. ואני עליך בטחתי אדוני, אמרתי לך אתי בידך צאתי, הצילי מיד אויבי מרודפי, הנה פניך על עבדיך, אשר הסתיך אדוני על בושך קהילתיך בוששים, תנו לשאול. תנו לספרי שקר, הדוברות על צדיק, עתק בגאווה ובוז, they speak with against the right with arrogance and contempt. הרב טובך, שסבן לידיך, פת להושים בך, נגד בני אדם, תסיר מסיר פניך, ish. Okay? Is everybody with me?
Grandpa.
Baruch Adonai ki ifli hasor be'ir masor. V'nei amarti rav zi nigzai l'necha achir shvat kol tonai b'shavi alecha v'yu Adonai hakol zeh abunim nosei Adonai she'al yeter oser ge'aba t'skuvi ha'mesar v'ker kol mechalim l'Adonai. Morris.
Grandpa. Wait, I have a comment.
Sure.
I'm reminded in verse 19, the attack and the ga'ava and booz, about the way the priests are described later in Tehillim.
That's correct. They're
But you don't write that in the book though, but it should be included, especially because of the context and who is plotting here.
Correct. Put it down the note and see if I do have it in volume 2. But mark this note down, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now that we saw that, I'd like to turn to Sefer Yirmiyah. Is everybody still with me? Are you guys tired?
No, we're with you. We're just jumping around a lot.
I'm going from debat to debat to debat.
Perfect.
Right? And first of all, I took the time to show you the Mizmor you're going to read on every night for Hanukkah and show you how it's infused with Yirmiyah's experience and Yosef's together combined. I showed you that. I showed you how the very next Mizmor turns to the Yosef story. And again, it's a continuing story. And I showed you that he says, that I wanted you to see what he says. You see this 14th verse? Ki shamati dibat rabim magor misabib. Good. Terror from every side. They're getting together to kill me. Now, I'd like to turn to Yirmiyah.
Grandpa, in the beginning of 28, it says Nimshalti im Yordei Bod. That's a pretty important phrase. We didn't mention it.
Of course, there's no time to get everything in. Of course.
Fair.
It's very, you gotta, Sammy just now told me, you're going all over the place. I gotta be careful with them. I'll lose them. Right?
Okay.
I'm with you.
Yirmiyah comes back from Gehinnom, where he makes the thing about they're doing child sacrifice, and now Vayishma Pashhud ben Imer HaKohen, Pashhud, blackmouth, the son of Imer, from the word to talk, the priest, who Pakid Nagid Beit Adonai, he's running the chief officer of the Beit HaMikdash, right? He hears that Yirmiyah prophesies these things. I'm not going to tell you. He prophesies that Jerusalem's going to get destroyed. That's going to get a lot of bad things. Take my word for it. Okay. When Pashhur, who grows up with him together, their buddies when they were kids. You with me? They were friends when they were young. Now Pashhur's that big guy. He beats up Yirmiyah. And he puts him on a mahpechet, which is like, when you tie a guy in a thing and you turn him upside down. You tie look at me, you tie the arms out like this, and the legs out splayed. It's on a wheel, right? You turn the guy upside down. He beats him up. Yirmiyah is a prophet, a respected prophet in the nation. He's not just, this is unbelievably horrifying experience from someone that he knows very well, right? And he puts him there in Shad, and he says exactly where he put him. B'Shad ben Yamin ha'elyon asher b'beit Adonai. Right there, openly, in front of the temple. The next day, they take him out. They leave him overnight. But you know what happens to a person who's like that overnight, right? Everybody? Anybody? Ron? Mars?
Yeah.
It's a horrifying experience, correct?
Right.
Horrifying. No water, no drink. You can't go. How do you go to the bathroom? It's an embarrassing, and you're beat up. You're bleeding. They take him out, and listen carefully. Your name shouldn't be Pashut. Remember those words, everybody? Mars?
Yep.
You see Magor Misabib?
Yeah.
Remember we just now read before, right? He was right. He was terror on every side. He tells him, your name is terror on every side.
Right.
This is what he tells him after he took him out. He's not afraid of him.
Right.
Very courageous.
Pasuk 14.
Right. ונתתי את כל חוסן העיר הזאת, את כל יגד, את כל קרב, את כל אוצרות מלכי יהודה, תן ביד בהם, זזון כחום והביאום בבלה. ואתה פשור וכל יושבי בדרך תלכו בשבי, ובבל תבוא ושם תמות, ושם תקבר. אתה וכל הדרך אשר בית להם בשקר, you falsely prophesied to them, right? And then he turns around to God and he says, I'm the laughing stock of everybody. Whenever I talk, I always have to say bad things. It's all your words have become a constant disgrace and contempt. And then he breaks down. I don't want to. He breaks down. He says, I'm not going to talk anymore. And I'm not going to remember anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. He says, I quit. Everybody with me? I'm going fast. Please tell me if you're not with me.
Did you skip Yod?
Not yet. But I couldn't take it. It was burning within me. He decided it was quitting to be a prophet, not going to talk anymore, it's not going to do what God wants. I'm out of here. I'm done. But I couldn't hold it in. It was raging in me like a fire, right? Shut up in my bones.
Why?
Why? I couldn't hold it back because he couldn't take the injustices that were being perpetrated. He couldn't handle it.
That's the next line.
You know why? Ki shamati, exactly, Sammy saw it. Shamati dibat rabim. Magor misabiv, because I heard the whispers of the crowd, terror all around. Inform, let us inform against him. All my supposed friends are waiting for me to stumble. Perhaps he can be entrapped. We can prevail against him and take out vengeance on him. You see that word, nikmatenu? Yeah, against him? And yeah. God, let them get wiped out. It didn't come to him. And then we have to stop at this juncture. Now,
Shomereh Salai is important because he calls God Salai in Tehillim.
Anoi Salim Sudati, correct. So now that you saw the Dibat Rabim and how it's used by Tehillim, you see how it's used by Yirmiyah, you see the context. Mars,
yeah.
When you see these references, and you go back to the story in Bereshit, and you see about the pit, and you see about the brothers, and you read this, if you want to know how I look at the brothers, I see a lot of cross references between these people and what the brothers and the statements of the way the Torah puts it forth, that remember they hated him before any of the dreams, before
Right.
he gives his prophecies to them. He
Yeah.
can't hold back his prophecies, Yirmiyah, because they're raging within him, even though he's being subjected to horrible things, right?
Right.
I want to ask whoever's online now, I don't know how many people are online, I don't know who stayed. Jonathan's here. Jonathan, are you listening?
Yes.
Yeah, so John, tell what is that?
Nothing. What'd you say?
Oh, every time I'm talking, it's what do you call it? Echoing. What I want to ask you is this: Do you have any kind of a sense of how I look at the story the way I presented it to you now? And now that you've seen the Magor Misevi, the Tehillim references and the context and the board, 30 and 31, and now you saw Yirmiyah chapter 20. And do you get I want to know if you get a sense of how I look at the brothers and the way that the Torah puts forth their hatred before the dreams. I want to know if you're starting to get a picture of how I look at the brothers and what they're attempting to do to him.
I understand it. I never really had such a problem with the words dibata, ra, like all these things, because I look at the stories as them saying that's what the truth is. I think that the brothers were doing bad things. It's a modern concept to talk about tattletaling and things like this. They were bad guys. That was it. He was saying what the truth was. And even the spy story, there may have been validity to what they were saying, but I don't think that was the problem. The problem was their reaction and the way they would just wanted to run away from it. I don't think it was necessarily that these things weren't true. So like it fits well even with Yirmiyah. Whatever they're saying is they're saying evil things, and that's what he's calling them out on.
They're evil people who do evil things. And they're not nice guys. They're the kind of guys that when they're jealous, they take the guy and they want to kill him.
Right.
So I always think of the story this way. Every single person I've ever spoken to says, well, he was immature and he did immature things, and then he got mature, and then he grew up, and then it got better. Every single person I speak to, you know what I say? I say, you know why the story is written the way it's written? It's written that way for the following reason. That's the way he looked to the public. I don't know if anybody got what I just said. Morris, did you get that?
Yeah.
Well, say it. Speak it out.
Yeah, it's giving the perspective of it's putting the reader in the perspective of the way that he was viewed at that point.
Exactly. So you know what the whole world says? Oh, he was immature. Oh, he's a gas case. Oh, it's his fault. Right? But when you look closely, does it look like it's his fault?
Yeah, the world can't handle that. The
When
world doesn't want to believe that the brothers were that bad.
Right. Exactly. And they want to believe that there was justification for the way they treated him.
Mm-hmm.
He's young. What does he know? We're the big guys here. We know everything. He is younger than them, correct? He is presented that way. But when you look very closely, when did they hate him? After the dreams or before the dreams, Morris?
Before.
Before.
Yeah, there is a problem. There is a problem with Yaakov bowing down to him that we don't have resolved. That's really the only question.
That what?
He is rebuked.
But then it says,
but he's rebuked. He still says, what me and your mother are always going to bow down to you?
It's not a rebuke. Do you mean to say that we're going to both, me and your mother, we're going to bow down to you? Yes, it's a rhetorical question with an implication. Are you serious? But he doesn't blast them out. He leaves it at that. He leaves it at that. He leaves it at that. It says, and then he observed, he thinks there's validity to the statement. He doesn't take the words lightly. So the words Vadim Shemata Davar are very, very important because it's saying he doesn't just, oh yeah, no. Really? You think that's gonna happen? How could you that's what's gonna be the end? And then he says, the father, as Abid Shemata says, oh, there's a lot going on over here. There's more to this than meets the eye. Now, that atmosphere that surrounds the Yosef story from its opening words is typical of how when you read closely the story of Yirmiyah, you read closely how Tehillim presents it, it is exactly how they treat him all the time while he's prophesying. After the death of Yoshiyahu. Prior to Yoshiyahu's death, he's got the cover of the king of Israel, who respects him, and they're friends, right? Life is good. In Eob, he writes about those good old days when they wouldn't dare do that to him because the king would never allow such a thing. The minute Yoshiyahu dies after 18 years of prophesying, right? He's done for. He's done for. The king comes after the next king, and the leadership and the religious establishment. They're out to get him, and they attempt to kill him numerous times, and then they finally put him in the board to die. And then the Kushi, the servant of the Sidkiyahu, saves his life at the last moment on the third day, where he's about to succumb to dehydration and death and cold.
Grandpa,
Yeah.
Grandpa, what I think is so interesting is that Psalm 31 and 30 combine the experiences of Yirmiyah, both in chapter 20, which is with Pashrod, and chapter 38, which is the actual pit story.
Right.
It's like we're meant to view both,
Right.
as essentially a story of isolation and being cast out by those close to him.
Perfect.
But it's so interesting. It's so interesting that the close word parallels to the pit psalm in 30 are not at all. They're not really tied to chapter 38, which is where Yirmiyah's pit story happens, but more to Pashrud.
Exactly. Who else did the story remind you of? It's tied not to the Yirmiyah pit story to you. It's tied to the Yosef pit story and Pashrud. Did you get that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
In other words, you get Yosef pit and Yirmiyah Pashrud. You don't get Yosef pit and Yirmiyah pit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which is curious. It's curious.
That's right. Well, of course, it's all on purpose. Of course, if we're in a class now that requires many hours. I haven't heard one word from Morris telling me he's interested in this. And Morris, I don't hear a word from you tonight.
No, it's all clear connections. There's no question about it.
There's no question.
It's already late, but you want to comment for 10 seconds, really only 60 seconds, on why they're using the same word with the spies?
I think because that's a long story, but I think that the spies is reflective. You see, these are all it's the national scene. The spies will be the ultimate downfall. The spies are the reason that you go into Galut. The reason you never get into Israel. Not the story of the Egel, The spy story is you're never going in. You're all going to die. The next generation's coming in. That was the ultimate rebellion. The ultimate. You don't rate to go in. It's reflective of a leadership of a nation, both in its political and religious leadership that's gone, and you don't deserve. So therefore, the spy story is where that word is going to come up, because that's what they do. They're like, so to speak, peshhur. They're like, so to speak, the brothers. They're like, so to speak, who Yirmiyah is referring to, that in the leadership in Israel, the priests and the political leaders who want to do away with him, and so on and so forth. So in
Okay, it's
very
gotta be a longer
quickly,
conversation.
very quickly, it's that.
It's gotta be a longer conversation, because you could see how that could be
Yes,
confusing, because
Yes.
it's reversed.
yes,
That's
yes.
why I said before, I the issue with that wasn't that they were saying bad things. So I always look at that story is that, okay, it's going to be very hard. There's very scary things ahead. I don't think that
No.
was the problem.
Right. I think it was much worse than that. I think it's much worse than that. They're saying God can't do it. God can't pull it off. They had no faith. Whereas the
Right.
other
That's the
two
problem. That would be
had
the
no faith.
problem.
They had no faith.
Right. Once they start mentioning the Taninim, that's it. It's over.
Exactly. And they exaggerate. And
Right.
they are strong. God isn't strong. They're stronger than God. God can't do this. God, it's all about strength. You'll see the words. By the way, that's where all the Oz words come that Ronnie was talking about. You'll see that that's the thing in the spy story. That's all about the word Oz. God is not strong. God can't do it. God is not capable, right? So you'll see those words being used a lot in those Mizmorim to counter what the spy's attitude is. That said, before we end the class tonight, Sammy, did you like this? Did you find this interesting? I wanted to open up everything over here to you guys tonight.
Yeah,
Even though we're not together in the room, I hope I succeeded.
I had a chance to spend some time with your article in the Rabbi Shammah book, and
Yeah.
talking about the Yosef Shlomo contrast.
Right.
Wondering, given that in the back of my head, I'm trying to figure out whether or not we're heading in a direction where you in the next week or well, I don't know if I was looking for it too much tonight or
No, you are right to look there, because those contrasts are amazing and say a lot about Yosef. Yeah.
but even here early on.
Everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Okay.
But I wanna emphasize this point before we sign off tonight. I told you, and I want to repeat it to you so you hear me say it. Everybody says, oh, he was an immature kid. Remember that when we learned it tonight, we learned it by looking at the story one step at a time. And at the one step at a time, you don't get that. The overall, it is very easy the way the story is presented. Very easy. Morris, you following? You can disagree.
Yeah.
Very easy to say, he was just an immature, because that is how easy it is when a person is up there. I hate to make this example. You know what? You can, the media, how they can turn evil Israel into the evil ones. They're the ones that were slaughtered, and they turn them into the evil ones. How easy is it to manipulate the populace? How easy, Morris, is it to manipulate with the media? The news stories today. Erdogan, Shemam, Turkey. He calls. I'm sure you all heard it. Netanyahu, the killer, the murderer, the slaughterer of children. Because they're just animals. Anyway, the point being, how easy is it, Morris, to put forth the story and to turn it in the most subtle of ways to make Israel look evil? How easy?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
They do it all the time. And I clearly believe that the story is written about Yosef that way, so you experience the way he looked to the people. and the outrage that he had to suffer going, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. They want to kill me, right? Doesn't he have a right to go, they want to kill me because they're jealous of me. They're my brothers, but they want to kill me. They want to blow my head off with a gun. I'm their brother. Okay, you're jealous, but they're all together. So look at the contrast. Look at the brothers. Look how they treated him. Look how Tehillim was putting them for. They're having a drink. They're having a good time. They're sitting down. They're eating and drinking. I told you, I made it. They're having a glass, a little ara, little shot, and he's screaming in the pit. And then later, when all the suffering comes on them, they go, we were there and he was crying and we didn't listen. We just said, freak him, let him burn, and we're suffering for it now, right? Yeah, but that's the kind of people they were. And he lived his life for a very long time with that reality. He lived his life, and Yirmiyah certainly like that for a very, very long time. He's the laughing stock. You saw him, I read it to you. Was he burnt out, Sammy?
Sounded like it.
He was. Didn't he say, I'm out of it? I'm out of here. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Well,
I don't need this.
What you're saying is that the Yosef, that the Pesukim are not really interested in disclosing all of this, is that Yosef is potentially this personality who's either exposing some evil doings of the brothers and is again not a tattletale, but essentially aware of wrongdoings and is the righteous one, the one that's pointing it out and calling it out and is
He's
saying,
calling it out. He's doing what he has to do.
doing
The
what
way
he has to
Yirmiyah says, I got to say it. I got to do it. But all I do is suffer from it. And now the story is written in such a way that the whole world could look at the Yosef story in the opening and say, oh, he was immature. Look at that little punk. Look at that. He was immature. And he never was immature. And he never stepped out of line. And he was always on target. And you know who knew that? His father. His father knew it all the time. His father understood where the story was at. He knew it was going on. And he is the prophet of Bereshit, right? He is the prophet, right? As you're going to see with the prisoners, in the prison, as you're going to see with Paro, and so on and so forth. In the next class that we have, I want to take, everybody bear with me one more minute. I know it's late now. I just want to say it quickly so you know what I'm going to do. In the next class, I want to talk about his interpretation of the dreams with Paro and how to more deeply view what's going on with how he interprets the dreams. He's the dream interpreter, meaning he's the Navi, meaning he's the one who reads the signs and says and says what's going on. So I want to talk about it next time when we get together.
I just want to point out Michael Sutton has a great comment in the chat if nobody saw it.
Oh, I didn't see any of the comments. Here, read it. Go ahead.
It says, Michael, if you're still there, you want to read it?
No, you could read it. I'm under the weather.
Oh, he wrote, it seems that the
Boy,
mention
you
of
sound
Shechem-
like you're under the weather, by the way.
He wrote, it seems that the mention of Shechem is a call to the brothers' murderous and negative potential. That the fact that this was all happening in Shechem is, so triggering the
Shechem.
right the prior incident that the
Right.
brothers
Right.
just had with Shechem Yaakov, and then when it says Yaakov Shamar et hadavar, kept the matter in mind when the brothers were rough against Yosef, yet he sent Yosef to Shechem anyway, the same
Right.
place where the brothers last committed an atrocity.
Good.
And then he ends by saying, Michael ends by saying, I question why Yaakov would have sent Yosef there by himself with all that in mind.
Mhm. That's a very good question. He knew how dangerous it was. Why did he send him?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that also.
Shout out
Why
to
did he
Michael.
send him if he knew it all? All right. You know me, when I talk on a screen, so Mars, I'm going to ask you, did you enjoy this, Mars?
Excellent. Great.
Oh, you did,
That's
good.
everything to go.
Great class, great.
I-
Also,
opening-
also very, very good. I gotta sign off. Thank you, but very good. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay, very good.
Eye-opening to see a different perspective of
Right.
Yosef like
That's
that.
what I wanted to do. And if you guys this week, if you look up the references to what we spoke about, it'll open up more and more and more to you. So have a
The
ball.
connections
Right.
to Yirmiyahu for sure.
Yeah.
The
All right.
follow-up question is why we say what's the connection with all this to Hanukkah?
Why bring it up on Hanukkah?
What is this and the whole thing that you have to read this parasha on Hanukkah? There's something that I'm not getting with the fact that Hanukkah happens way after all of
Yeah.
any of the stuff. What is that? Who knew something to connect this to Hanukkah in the first place?
Yeah, I think that honestly, I think it's because of the superscription, Mizmor Shir Hanukkah Habayit LeDavid. That's the reason. That's it. Mizmor Shir Hanukkah Habayit LeDavid. He uses the words Hanukkah Habayit, so it's Hanukkah, and Hanukkah is about Hanukkah Habayit.
And that just the content of all these words and all those words are connected, and then so
Just the superscription. It's the Mizmor that has a superscription that it's a Mizmor about Hanukkah Habayit. And Hanukkah is about that, so they find the word, but all your other questions are not getting answered at all.
okay.
That is the answer. It's a little, it might be a little disappointing to you,
Well-
but that's the answer.
I'll take
Well,
that.
is it coincidental that you're reading about Yosef at the same time that that Hanukkah is taking place?
That's
Yeah.
good. I ask myself that question. I don't have a good answer.
It's just coincidental.
You never realize how much it's talking about Yosef till when we're in this class now. You realize it's talking about Yosef all over the place and in a
Right.
very powerful way, right?
Yeah, clear.
And you happen to be at that point in time in the parasha. But I think that's really, I think it's coincidental. Yeah.
Right.
It's just, it's apropos. I looked and I said, what am I going to talk about tonight? And I knew what I wanted to talk about. And I went like this. Well, it's about very good. Yosef, Hanukkah.
Right.
Right. All right, guys.
Okay. Excellent.
All right.
Enjoy.
I'm glad you enjoyed. And Mars, come to Florida. What any chance?
It doesn't look like it.
I told mommy we have a better chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's things for the kids. Orly said it's
Yeah, I assume that.
okay.
All
Great.
right. Love you, Moshe. Well, good to see you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Okay.
Great.
It was good,
All right.
Mars. It's me and you left here. You enjoyed, right? I mean, it was.
Yeah. You don't forget to stop the recording, save it, and if you know how to do it, post it into the class chat if there's a way to do that.
All right. Well, the first thing I'll do now is end and let it change, and I'll save it to be uploaded.
Yeah.
I might not be able to do that here. There's no upload speed over here in this house, so we'll see.
Okay. You got
All
it.
right. But you enjoyed for real. You're not sketching.
Not at all. Love it. Oh yeah.
This is good
Excellent.
stuff. I really.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Okay.
All right.
Love you. We'll be in touch.
Love you. Okay. You got it.